Hello, everyone, ghosts, goblins, witches, and ghouls, and welcome to another spooky episode of Tea Time Truth Talk with your host, Alicia Pacheco, and my father,
Rev Rich, and literally Rev Rich.
And I am today as Winnie the Pooh. I figured we get a little festive and dress up in our Halloween costumes, since in T minus 5 days it will be Halloween. So, today we're going to be talking about another topic with what it's called real friends versus fake friends. Now, for the situation I am going to give, I am going to mention a name in it. It has nothing to do with the person we know or their situation. It's just an alias to cover up the actual story.
Okay. So as always, before we do our housekeeping, remember to subscribe to our channel with every encounter. Like the video, share the video, especially if there's people you know that need to hear this, as well as make sure that you hit the bell so you know when it drops. We also share this on our With Every Encounter podcast. So if you happen to listen to podcasts, go ahead and subscribe to your favorite podcast channel. Again, we're on every popular one, iTunes, Google Podcast, as well as iHeartRadio, Spotify. So find us out there. Listen, and of course, as always, share it, because there's always someone out there who can use this information. So why don't you go ahead with your topic today?
All right, so the topic today goes as this. I was running late to a mini party for a friend who came back from boot camp, and everyone else was already there. But when I got there, John's parents told me that everyone went bowling. Nobody told me anything. I felt embarrassed and really hurt. His parents offered me to take me up there, and when I got there and asked why nobody said anything, their excuse was that they didn't know where they were going. And then the entire time, barely anybody talked to me while I was there. I was really pissed and offended because they could have texted me, at least, if they didn't know where, even if they didn't know where they were going, or if they, as soon as they found out, or as soon as they were leaving the house. It really sucks because if it was in reverse, I would have made sure whoever wasn't there, I would have let them know what was happening. This friendship has been rocky for a while, so my question today is, should I let go of the group and move on, or was I just overreacting and should let it go and stay with the group?
Well, that again is one of those topics that we can spend 5 hours on, but let's see the best we can do here. So first we have to understand that the title you used was Fake Friends versus Real Friends. And I've never liked those titles because to me the word fake simulates that there's a intention to be a false friend. And a lot of people don't do that. We do the best we can with what we understand. So judge not your friends, as they say, but also understand that, and we've talked about this, where energy starts to move apart, so things happen. Second thing is, now again, I don't know the entire situation. I can only go by what the letter you got or whatever. But sometimes, and I've experienced this in my own life, where one person tends to be the leader. Now, we use that term loosely because leaders usually empower people to become better. But leaders such as, and I hate to go this extreme, but when we talk about gangs usually recruit people based on their low self-esteem. So the gangs give them purpose. The gangs give them a sense of worth. The gangs give them a sense of mission. So what happens is when you get a group of people together, you tend to get this one person who tends to be the influence person. The bad part is sometimes that person may have their own agenda. So let's just say there was a rift between that person and the person who's asking this question. Well, that person may figure, well, I didn't want her here anyway. I didn't want him here anyway. Or I didn't want them here anyway. And they lead the group to think that it's okay, let's leave. Now, even if somebody in the group, let's say 1 out of 10 people say, well, wait a minute, what about this person? The group mentality would be to kind of come together in the same unison. Kind of like I talk about with drama television. Why are we so attracted to drama television? Because it gives us a time to allow somebody else to tell us a story, tell us where we can kind of escape somewhere. So if I want to go with my friends, but I feel bad about someone else, I'm going to go with my friends because it's easier to be part of the majority than it is to be part of the minority. Another thing that you may want to look at when it comes to things like this is, and I said this earlier with the energy pulling apart. Sometimes it's just the fact that as we grow, and we've talked about this, and I think I got this off of I think it was Denzel Washington who actually said that. It was that if you are the same person you were in your 20s when you're in your 30s or your 50s, then you've wasted 10 to 20 years of your life. So as you begin to grow, you start to find yourself in different aspects. We talked about that with Reiki and attunements. We start to see the authentic self. Now, we don't want to, of course. We want to still have that fun. We want to be back in high school. Like I said, a friend of mine sent me a picture of a boardwalk where we used to go have coffee every Sunday. Trust me, there are many days I wish I was back on that boardwalk with my 50-cent coffee from the bodega, drinking coffee.
50-cent coffee.
That's right. It was 50 cents back then. Yes, it was. It was a little bit of coffee, but that big. Made in the bodega. Best coffee ever. None of this bougie stuff.
Oh.
But all jokes aside, the whole point is we have to remember that the only person we can control is us. We are as individuals. As individuals, we have to make those choices. You and I have joked about my limited circle of friends. And yes, you used to make fun of me and all that at the time. But I think that you saw that as I started to do things where these friends came out of nowhere and these people were powerful. And the point was that I was always taught your friends should be smarter than you. And the reason why is you never want to be the dumbest person. You don't ever want to be the smartest person in the room, because what's going to happen is other people are going to kind of push you away. Whereas if I have friends that help build me, I become better. So the problem there becomes, what is the individual mentality of each person in this point? So yes, I know I went far left, far right, and down the middle, but the point here is it all comes down to perspective and mentality. What is the mentality of the group? If the group is able to alienate one person and say it doesn't matter, then you have to remember that the only person that your friends, whatever, mattering is to themselves at that point. And there's nothing wrong with that. But how you project it is a different story. I believe in servant leadership. That I will do anything and everything. And sometimes you guys have to yell at me because I go overboard. But there is never a person that will ever feel like I will leave them behind. Even if it's something that I physically or mentally can't do, I will find a way or find a person who can handle it for me. So all I can say to this person is, don't let the mob mentality, or as in Unity we say societal mentality, dictate who you are. Because what will happen is when you become your true self and you start to plug into your true self, yes, your ego is going to go, I miss the partying, I miss this, I miss that, I miss the other. But when you get into your true self, you empower yourself, you become a magnet. Your energy goes out and starts attracting people in your life. So, your mother said this. There are people that come into your life for either a season or a moment or whatever. There are plenty of people in my life I've had to let go. Yet, even talking about the beach picture, here's a friend I haven't seen in 15 years. Yet, he will always remember to email me or send me a gift or something to say, hey, I miss you. And hopefully, we have our event coming up in December. So I hope that, we get to meet each other again after all these years. But the point here is that's true energy. That's energy that continues to be drawn toward me. And that's what I want, every teenager. And it's why I wanted to do this. And I was glad my daughter brought this to me, is that when I was a teenager, I fell into that mob mentality. I wanted to be popular. And I was in a way, but I couldn't see it. I joke about I was friends with the people who played sports. I was friends with the computer people. I was friends with the music people. I was friends with it. And yet I was still an introvert, but I kept attracting people to me. And I didn't see that in my age, as a big guy, I grew up thinking nobody's going to love me, but yet everybody around me says, why is it that you seem to have women around you all the time? I couldn't see it. So I tell the person in the here, and I tell anybody out there who's listening, don't worry about the people around you. Learn to love yourself. Because when you do that, You will empower yourself to become a light, a beacon of energy that goes out, and you will see that people will begin to attract to you. People you probably wouldn't even think would be part of your circle will start to show up in your life, and you will feel so much better about yourself, about the situation. And you know what? I had one mentor, and I'll leave everybody with this. When I was by myself, I had broken up from a long-term relationship, 11 years. And I was living on my own, and I was going through my own, well, nobody loves me, whatever. He told me, he said, there is no one that's ever going to love you until you learn to love being by yourself and love yourself. And when I did that, I started to attract more people into my life, not always about, romantic relationships, but I realized that more people were coming into my life once I started to learn to love myself. Is it challenging? Of course it is. But you work on it day by day, step by step. In Reiki, we have a mantra that starts off just for today. So work on it just for today. Love yourself a little bit more. Care for yourself a little bit more. Be gentle with yourself a little bit more. And all these other traumas and dramas will start to fall away. And you'll start to find yourself in a circle of friends that truly want to be there.
Wow, that is absolutely true. I think we covered almost everything in there. I think the only thing I want to add to that, or sum up pretty much what he said, was depending on if you decide to stay or leave, if you do decide to leave, don't feel like you are truly alone, because it's only a step further for you to, seems like the way to your greatness is you have to walk alone. That is one thing they have told me so many times. Is sometimes you need to walk alone to get to that greatness. And those, like he says, those people that truly belong in your life will come into your life at the right moment. Whether it's a reason, a season, or a lifetime, they will come into your life, and some will leave and some will stay. I have great friends that I have known since 6th grade and still running strong. And I have had friends who I knew in high school that I have let go after a year or 5 years. So yes, always remember that as well. But I think we covered everything today, and I hope all that advice helps you in your situation, and what you decide is your choice and your opinion, and you, whatever your heart tells you, do it. But other than that.
Yep. And if you're at that precipice where you felt you've been doing this already, and you don't want to know why things are feeling funny, go back to my talk last week on Wisdom Wednesday, where I talk about welcome to the dark side. There's something called Dark Night of the Soul. It's a little more spiritual than what we're talking about here. But there is a time of our lives where we know we're doing the right thing, but it just doesn't feel like it. I explain all of that in the video. And as I said in the last video, Winston Churchill said it best. He said, if you're going through hell, keep going. So with that, as always, we thank you for being here today. We enjoy our time of doing these videos for you guys. I hope you're getting something with it. Again, leave us comments, like, share it, let other people who may need to hear this know. And with that, as we always say, we love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. And we'll see you on the next episode.